Welcome to the Success with Jewelry podcast, where we invite you inside our conversations about business success and marketing for jewelry designers and entrepreneurs.
We're Laryssa and Liz, jewelry marketing experts with a combined 16 years of experience in jewelry marketing and proven track records in helping jewelry brands meet their goals. When you listen to or watch this podcast, you get an intimate and exclusive peek behind the curtain of all the things you wish you could know about earning success in this industry.
Welcome to episode 5. In this episode, we're going to be talking about why Instagram is important, what exactly is the algorithm, and what's working on Instagram now. We also offer a gated version of this episode where we share further commentary on this topic, many valuable tips that you can start implementing in your jewelry business today. To get access to this exclusive content, sign up by visiting successwithjewelry.com. Membership is only $20 for weekly extended episodes, personal engagement and interaction by us, free webinars and courses, active group discussion and community, and so much more. Hey, Laryssa, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, Liz. I'm excited to talk about Instagram today.
Yes, Instagram is a topic that I could talk about endlessly because it's the main focus of my business. I manage several accounts for clients, and actually my first role in the industry was working for Todd Reed, and I started Instagram from scratch and grew it to 100,000 followers organically. We can't do that anymore. We can't grow a following that big, but some of the strategies still work.
Yeah, I would say if there is an Instagram expert for the jewelry industry, it is you. So listeners and viewers, you have quite a treat today because Liz is here to share all her knowledge and I'm kind of here just piggybacking off of it.
Yeah, let's face it, Laryssa, I know you and many people have been a little bit burnt out by Instagram, right?
It's true.
Yeah, but Instagram is still a really important platform. So in my opinion, Instagram is the best social media platform to share your brand story, connect with your clients, and generate quality leads. I think that a lot of our jewelry audiences, people purchasing jewelry, are there. And also, people are comfortable with purchasing on Instagram. They're comfortable with messaging. They're comfortable with talking to brands. There's been a lot of buzz, obviously, about TikTok, but I think Instagram is still a really important platform to focus on.
Yeah, TikTok, of course, we've all been hearing about how it's the next big social media platform, but it's really driven to entertain. I think, I can't remember now, I heard somewhere like TikTok isn't even really social media. It's more like, I don't know, social entertainment or social discovery in a way, whereas Instagram still maintains that element of the interaction, the engagement, the connecting in a more genuine way. And I think brands still have a really big opportunity there, especially brands that are driven by visual content like jewelry is.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of success on Instagram for brands I work with, but I know that it can be really frustrating. And I think part of the burnout is this stress with this thing called the algorithm. So what exactly is the algorithm?
Oh, the algorithm.
So the algorithm, Instagram's algorithm, essentially it calculates how likely someone is to interact with a post, which ultimately determines the order in which posts are displayed in their feed and what shows up on your Explore page. And Instagram's been serving a lot of Reels recently. It all depends on kind of how likely this algorithm thinks you are to interact with something because they want to keep you on the platform as long as possible. So if you like a bunch of cat videos, if that's something that you spend a lot of time viewing and liking, your Explore page is going to be a lot of cat videos, for example. They also know who you're interacting the most with, like who you're following. You'll notice in your stories, it shows up kind of your best friends or the stories that you look at most frequently or closest to the front always. So this is just kind of a back-end computer system thing that Instagram's doing to kind of show people content that they want to be seeing so that they stay on the platform longer.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of being frustrated by the algorithm, I think in marketing in general, the easiest way to stress yourself out is if your marketing strategy is driven by like what's trending and what everyone else is doing and like what's hot right now, you're going to lose your mind. So you constantly have to think about who am I talking to? What do I want to get out of this? And how can I measure like that I'm staying on track? And so I think those things are super important to remember when you're dealing with the algorithm.
Totally. I think some things that are helpful too is to kind of block out the noise. So if you're feeling like threatened or overwhelmed or feel any sort of way by other people's posts, mute those people, block them, or you don't have to block them, but you can unfollow them or mute them or whatever you need to do to kind of stay in your zone and not feel like people are putting out better content than you or getting more likes than you. That comparison game can be really, really overwhelming and lead to feeling really burnt out by all of it. And the other thing I would say is that, some of the vanity metrics like follower count and likes aren't quite as important as your engagement analytics. So if you have a really small community that is super engaged and maybe they aren't liking your post, but they're commenting or they're DMing you, those are great things to think about. Versus some of these like, I'm not going viral, I'm not getting 100,000 likes or views or things like that. So really know what you're seeking, which is sales usually.
Yeah, and having a clear measurable goal around that. And not only that, but looking at Instagram in the context of like all the marketing you're doing, because Instagram may not be like your primary sales channel or your primary way that you gain customers, but it still might have an important role somewhere in the grand scheme of things. So like being super realistic about that. Maybe for you, Instagram is the way you get people on your email list. Okay, well that is one step that you're like moving them closer toward your website or toward a sale. If that's what you know about Instagram and suddenly you're not selling things on Instagram, okay, well you never were going to do that anyway. So just like being super realistic about the role that it plays like holistically too.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because it's not for everyone like the main sales hub. For some designers and brands it is, but for others it's just supporting. It's just supporting the content you're putting on your website. It's supporting, your email marketing, and you're sharing kind of the same story in both places, but the sales are coming from your emails. So really understanding those things is really, really a great point, Laryssa. So what's actually working? Let's talk about that. Number one advice is be consistent. I think consistency is the most important thing to be considering in the style of images, your captions, the way you're talking to your audience, how frequently you're showing up, which doesn't necessarily need to be every single day, just consistently. So maybe you can show up once a week on Instagram. That's great. I love it. Your audience wants to understand what to expect from you. So when we talk about kind of who are your favorite Instagram accounts, or when you're thinking about who do you love to follow on Instagram, it's probably somebody who's showing up really consistently.
It's so true. So what would you say consistency means though, especially when it comes to timing? Like, is there a sweet spot of how consistent you should be in posting?
Yeah, so I really encourage you to do whatever works for you. So if you feel really good about a couple posts a week and kind of space them out, that's great. Just show up, like understand what you can maintain and show up regularly. Again, so your audience knows what to expect. For clients that I work with, I post every single day. I do 3 or 4 reels per week. And then I also do 3 to 5 stories a day to support the content that I've posted in the feed. And that's a lot, but I plan it out 30 days in advance. So I do a ton of work in terms of planning ahead, which makes it so much easier to show up that frequently.
Planning is so important on so many levels. And I think in the next few points that Liz is going to make about like the tips and the best practices, you'll see we're going to just keep coming back to planning.
Yeah, planning is huge to have. I mean, for marketing in general, it's huge, but to show up regularly on social media, to have a strong strategy, planning ahead is So important. Also, planning ahead makes it easier for you to, if you do get really excited or have some inspiration and want to share something fun that you didn't have planned, there's more space to do that. So you can move things around. But having the plan will make it so much easier. So the next thing you want to consider when with your Instagram strategy right now, something that's working, is leaning into your niche and talking to your audience, understanding who that audience is and talking to them. That's so important. You can't be everything to everyone. You can't talk to everyone. Actually talking to your followers and kind of being more focused in that, and the more engaged your followers are, the bigger your audience will expand.
Absolutely. I think a lot of designers are afraid they're excluding people or missing the possibility of customers, but the truth about marketing is you can't, marketing to everyone is marketing to no one, basically. So you have to just trust that you know your audience best and not be afraid to like speak directly to them.
Yes, definitely. And then the next thing is the one you've all been waiting for. Try including some video. And this has been kind of controversial. I've gotten a little pushback from designers who really don't want to do video. But it's such an important thing to be adding into your strategy, because like we have to do reels to please the algorithm or to make Instagram happy or anything like that, because video is really engaging. It's a great way to show your pieces in motion, to make the audience trust what they're purchasing much more, because they've really seen it. They feel like they've seen it in person. And then also showing your face and talking to the camera is a great way to, again, build trust with your audience, to make it feel like, even if they've never met you in person, that they actually have met you in person. So it's kind of melding the online and offline worlds.
Yeah, and video also kind of helps you tell a complete story, even if it's just a little 30-second or 1-minute story. And we all know that jewelry is all about stories, that the things that people resonate with when they make a purchase is some kind of emotion tied to a story, whatever. So video really allows you to do that in a way that pictures sometimes don't, or even writing sometimes doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. Not everyone will sit and read a caption. So telling your story, if you don't feel comfortable showing your face, doing a voiceover, sharing your process, sharing behind the scenes. And also, upon reflection, as we're talking about this, where you're talking about storytelling, which is such a great point, Laryssa, something I've noticed is that anytime I do kind of like a day in the life type video, or something that takes you from beginning to end and shows you the in-between, the whole process, those videos perform really well. So it's a way to kind of to tell your story in a much more effective way, an engaging way.
Absolutely. And for people that are nervous about video, I think we touched upon the planning aspect before. I think planning goes a long way into helping relieve that, because if you can sit and brainstorm some ideas, all right, you got started. Now you have something to work with. And then figuring out how you can get ahead of creating that content, giving yourself space, giving yourself time. Of course, if you're starting, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be a learning curve. But like deciding, oh, I'm going to do video, and then sitting down today and trying to figure it all out, of course you're going to hate it and be stressed, because it's not something to just figure out in like one sitting. So planning goes a long way in helping you to feel comfortable with that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're overwhelmed by like kind of the overly produced videos, keep it simple to start. Just show a piece of jewelry in your hand in motion. Keep it simple and try including some video. It will go a long way, I promise. So the last point I want to make about what's working on Instagram is share some of your personal life with boundaries, or some behind the scenes or some process. Think about how you can add a bit more context to your brand and share some of that. Instagram stories is really where you talk directly to your audience, because you're not really putting content there to be seen by everyone. It's really going to primarily be seen by your followers. So sharing a little bit about your life there is a great place to start, but really introducing yourself and your brand and the inspiration behind your collections in your main feed too is really, really important. People buy from people. Storytelling is so important in jewelry, as Laryssa mentioned before. So adding a little bit of that context will be really helpful, and that content will probably perform and get much more engagement than some of your other content.
That's a great final tip, Liz. I love that.
What did you think about our Instagram tips? Do you use the platform for your business? Have you been feeling burnt out from maintaining your presence there? You can visit successwithjewelry.com to sign up for the extended episode, as well as many actionable tips and a jewelry brand case study we'll share at the end. Membership is just $20 a month for an exclusive peek behind the curtain into what it takes to build and grow a successful jewelry business. You'll also get access to our entire Success with Jewelry webinar series. So definitely head over there and sign up now.